Hey, and welcome to the second episode of the Pearl Dialogues. My name is Wazi, and before moving into this episode, I wanted to share a quote from Almas that talks about the pearl or the personal essence. The name for this podcast is called Pearl Dialogues. Some of you may be very familiar with that term, the pearl, and others of you may be completely new to that. So I thought I would share this quote. Also, the Diamond Approach is a school that is oriented towards exploring the nature of reality, exploring our human potential. So this is what this podcast is about, in addition to sharing the spirit of this teaching. So here's the quote. As the soul integrates her essence in its various qualities, she matures and develops her virtues, capacities, and faculties. The process of maturation includes two complementary sides. The first is that of individuation, centered around the aspect of the personal essence. This is the pearl beyond price, which the soul becomes in the midst of her life in the world. The pearl beyond price is the essential prototype of integration, and the soul experiences it as the presence of the soul as an essential person. This personal presence is characterized by maturity, individuation, and personal essential development. The teaching around the pearl is something that is very unique to this school, and it has to do with becoming and being a complete human being, a true human being. The purpose of this podcast is to bring and share the pearl of each teacher, and through that, sharing the personal essence and spirit of this teaching as well. So with that, I say thank you. I very much invite you to be in presence and to listen deeply. There is a lot of deep knowledge that is shared in this episode. And with that, I say enjoy. Yes, everyone, welcome to this second episode of the Pearl Dialogues. Today we have my dear teacher, Prakash Mackay, on for a conversation. And we also have Elin with me, as always.
Hello.
There we are.
Hi. And I'm going to correct your pronunciation. Prakash Mackay.
Mackay.
Scottish. Yeah.
Scottish.
Prakash Mackay.
I mean,
very welcome.
Very welcome. Yeah. I mean, that's a good way to segue. So you're from Scotland, but you don't live in Scotland. How did you end up on Hawaii?
A very roundabout journey. I left Scotland in 1976 and I traveled overland, by air, sea, boats, buses to Australia. And I lived in Australia for a couple of years. And then I lived in India for 3 years. And then I came to the States in 1982. And I lived in a spiritual community in Oregon until 1985. And then I came to Hawaii. And I've lived here ever since. So I live on the island of Maui in Hawaii.
That sounds beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I can hear the still birds outside of your room. Wonderful. Yeah.
And you've been a teacher and a student of the Diamond Approach for how long? And what inspired?
I've been a student for 33 years and a teacher for 20.
Okay. And how would you describe that unfolding for you, that transformation? Like, what words would you use to describe that journey for you?
A journey of denudement.
Denudement. What does that mean?
Stripping away all of the accoutrements of a personality, a life, a story, and coming to the bare bones simplicity of this moment.
And how would you describe this moment right now? How would you describe this moment right now?
There's a sweetness to it, an excitement, an appreciation, a gratitude for, I look out my window into an orchard and I can look and see the sea. And, I grew up in Glasgow, which is an industrial city. I was surrounded by factories and smoke and pollution. And here I am in paradise. And I go, how did that happen?
How does that happen?
Yeah, I get very curious as well.
Magic. Yeah.
Magic. And I imagine, some of the people that you maybe grew up with are still in Glasgow.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even not spiritual, haven't gone through that metamorphosis that you have in stripping away the layers of the personality. Like, what do you reflect on that?
Well, ever since I was a young boy, I wanted to go explore and go out from Glasgow. I hitchhiked to Paris when I was 16, and I slept under the bridges, and it was like I was like a vagabond, because I just wanted to experience new cultures, new things, and that was always a part of my nature.
Can you, just curiosity, can you speak to desire? How do you understand desire, and what significance does desire hold in how life unfolds and how we flower and where we move, what we do, what is created?
Yeah. Well, desire gets a bad rap in spiritual conditioning. And really, for me, that desire is instinctually driven on an animal level. And the process of spiritual work is the refinement of that desire from the self-preservation or the social or the sexual instincts to the transformation where that becomes the enlightenment drive, where we want to actualize our true nature.
Sounds like it's a bit connected to the flame.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, yeah. In Buddhism, they call it bodhicitta, the awakened consciousness. Yeah, in the Diamond Approach language, we do call it the flame. And there's a quality that's known as hema, which is the quality that's needed to transform those instincts of the animal soul into a human soul and then to an angelic soul.
Wow, so that's a bit like for new students. That's myself. I can see, it sounds like I can see a little bit in the future now. I've been digging into the flame, to the animal soul, but that's a process. Like to get into.
I mean, that's where we begin, because that's what we're usually faced with before we've started to transform the identification with the personality. So it's like most people, they don't know that discrimination between their superego and their ego and their being. So you have to start with those early structures, and that superego being the one that you come up against that is protecting that ego structure.
Yeah, that's making it safe to stay in the way it's always been.
Yeah,
sort of. Yeah.
And you've been through a very long journey of alchemy and processing and metabolizing and working with the ego and really exploring our humanity and true nature and spirituality, both, I know, with Osho for a period of time before you entered the Ridwan school. So, like, what would you say how do you experience life now? How do you experience yourself? How do you experience life every day? Like, what is your day to day? What is your condition now after?
Well, I think one of the biggest changes was that in the early days, my spiritual life was very separate from my ordinary life. And through the work that I've done, there's an integration of that. So I feel very ordinary, very simple, as I was saying at the beginning. Yeah. But, I've been meditating since I was a teenager. And I think that's been the practice, has been that continual refinement.
What is best about your life right now, in your eyes?
The appreciation and satisfaction that I experience.
Yeah, it's like when you say that, I can sense that somehow. It makes me super happy just to listen to you and to be in your presence, which I see. It's like,
yeah. When I talked about, the goal of enlightenment in the past, that was something that was always, out of reach or unattainable. And through my understanding in the diamond approach, it's a process of realization that is happening moment to moment. It's not something that I'm trying to grasp or hold on to or get to. It's something to really savor in the unfoldment of my experience in this moment.
An unfoldment rather than a seeking. And also, I heard you talk a bit on, I think it was conscious TV, which we refer to. The concept of enlightenment not being like something that happens and then you're there, like, and you're always staying there. And
right,
it's in waves,
which was something that I, like my teacher Osho, he had a very profound awakening experience, and that was enlightening. But that's the beginning of the process. It's not that happens and that's where you stay, right? In the diamond approach, we can have easy access to experiences of essence, but until you're able to actualize, and where essence becomes a station, where it's readily available to you as needed, that's more of that process of realization and actualization.
Wow, yeah. So it's more like the gas in the car, or like it's the fuel always in there, always. But and it's, yeah.
And to go back to your question about desire is part of that fuel, that aspiration for awakening, I mean, it's like that's been a thread all through. It's like, I really want to wake up. I want to wake up to reality and discover what the truth of that reality is. And it's such a mystery. It's continually unfolding and revealing itself. It's awesome.
It's awesome. And when you've mentioned both a sense of deep appreciation and satisfaction. How does that manifest in you? Like what quality, how would you describe that in your being? How would you describe that in your awareness?
Just being able to let myself be, right? It's like I was very much a go and doing, and I can just let myself sit and just look out at the garden and appreciate the sounds of the birds and the colors and the fragrances.
And what's your thoughts around like purpose, being driven, creativity, in the sense of like having a calling to achieve, perhaps? Like a lot of people in the younger generations, they want to do something in their life. They want to have an impact. What's your perspective on that?
Well, the diamond approach is very service oriented, So, in my day job, I've worked with Hospice Maui for 35 years. And, I've worked with the dying and with the grieving, and I'm still connected to them. I facilitate the grief support group twice a month. And I facilitate a mentoring program in the jail here, where we have a men's and a women's mentoring program. And I go in and I work with men, teaching them how to recognize what they're feeling, how to not act out on those feelings, and develop more emotional resiliency. And really to to be accountable for their experience and help them see how come they ended up there and how to not get back in there again. Yeah. That's a maturation process, which is very much the teaching of the Diamond Approach, like growing up, becoming a mature and complete human being. And the bird agrees with me. Yeah.
Very much so. Yeah. Go on.
Yeah. I just want to invite for the moment, like what's happening right now, while you're sharing this, Prakash, and also in new ways, what's in the field.
What's in the field? Well, that bird is, he's. Yeah.
He also got the welcoming letter.
Yeah.
Join the Pearl Dialogue.
One of the most inspiring books I read as a teenager was Island by Aldous Huxley. And on the island of Pala, they trained the birds to say three things: here and now, attention, karuna, compassion. And those were the three messages that the birds gave you. And so that bird brings me right here, right now, into, seeing you, seeing Wazzy, feeling myself in this interaction with you. And the pleasure that I derive from that.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, I feel it's a really profound moment right now, actually, when you speak of this. And I share that pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure to be here right now and to really feel that pleasure in my body. Like it feels, it's like a fullness of sort, like it's something substantial. I notice that there is a smile on my face, and yeah, that appreciation and that satisfaction. I really feel that is in the field right now.
And the sun is lighting you up.
Love the sun. Praise the sun.
Yeah.
What's happening for you? You have a cosmos behind you.
Yeah, I do. It's very nice. Instead of TV, there's a cosmos hanging on the wall.
Yeah.
I have a cosmos behind me, and I have this joy also, like in my heart, and I can feel these small tears simmering down my eyes again, like super slowly while we've been talking. It's talking about desire and the flame, and my own longing for awakening has been like, oh wow, like I am here, we're talking, and I'm blissfully happy and blissfully sad at the same time.
Bittersweet, yeah.
Yeah, but without pain. Usually bittersweet for me has some pain to it, but now it's like this wow aspect.
Elin, please tell a little bit more about that. What's the sadness about, and what's the happiness?
Yeah, it's what comes to me now. I think there's a part of my soul coming home in this conversation. There's a part of me that, it's like, I was feeling all the tears now. It's like, is this really possible in life? Can you really have connection with other people, but also to the universe, or like to your experience of the unfoldment personally, I have learned to trust my flame. I might not be exactly where I want to be in my life. I'm also still quite young, but I really trust that my flame and my passion and my desire will bring me to a place where I'm supposed to be.
Mhm.
And somehow that's calling in this sadness and in this joy
Mhm.
right now. Some trust.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the key factor, is that trust in the unfoldment, that you are exactly where you're supposed to be. Yeah. And I think that's something that's changed for me. It's like there was always a self-image of something not quite right, or the wrongness, and the satisfaction comes from this is it. This is who I am, and the appreciation of who that being is in his unfoldment. There's no lack. That fullness and abundance is more accessible to me than it was in the past.
Wow, yeah,
that's so inspiring.
So deep, and I feel that now. I taste that now. That being said, I know definitely that there are times during different days where I really feel the agitation of the personality still. I feel very home in this field of satisfaction and joy, and where there is this mysterious openness and this beauty. And also I am aware of how on the consistent basis I'm metabolizing structures of the ego. And so generally when I'm with people, particularly when there is this openness, there is an amplification of essence. Like it's as if essence becomes even more just saturates on even deeper levels. What is your experience of that, Prakash?
Yeah, the more present I am, the more accessible that is to me. And, your assemblage point shifts depending on the situation that you find yourself in. But the more connected you are to your beingness, the more stabilization there is there. And the less you're shifted and taken out of yourself.
What would you say to some of the people who are in a situation where they have certain desires, certain maybe young people who wants to achieve things? They don't feel that they are where they want to be, in the sense of being in a beautiful home and potentially having like the work that they want and doing what they love fundamentally, feeling that they're living in accordance with their purpose. What would you say to people who are in that situation?
Well, I think that's part of the developmental process. You go through different stages where you have to try it out. I'm almost 70 years old, and it's taken me a lifetime to come to this place of contentment and satisfaction. It's like, as I was saying, there always felt like as though there was something missing that I was trying to get out there or achieve from the outer. And no, I see. No, it's an inner experience. It's an inside job. Yeah. But, you can't tell someone that. They have to discover it for themselves. So they'll strive and they'll, go through it. They'll fail, and you just keep going on, and then you have a realization. Okay. It's not out there. It's really turning inward.
And what comes up for me is like that every stage of life has certain qualities, certain characteristics. What would you say, how would you characterize your life in this stage of life versus when you were young, maybe in your 20s or 30s? Like both the positives and the negatives, if you want to put it that way. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, well, the positive is a ripening, a maturation. And the negatives is I can't dance as wildly as I used to because I injure my body. I love to just dance and, for hours. And the last time I did that, it was like I was crippled for about a month. So I have to be more careful.
I'm curious about your understanding, and I don't know, maybe even purpose, but of death.
Of death?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So
I mean, as you know from the interview with Ian, I've been very intimate with death for many, many years, and it's still a mystery to me, you know. Since last February, 11 of my close friends and my brother have died. And it's like, it's become very close and very in my face, you know. So a lot of grief and yet a lot of, you know, one of my close friends who was also a teacher in the school, he died just recently, and it was very quick. And I could feel a sense of joy and liberation in his dying. And yet I'm never going to see him again. And I'll really miss my friend who, you know, who was one of my intimates. Yeah.
That's beautiful and interesting. And that can be there. This joyful and liberating feeling still, that there's this ending. Yeah. Do you have any thoughts about what happens after you die?
There have been a few people I've been very connected with where I could feel their soul in the expansion and the journey for a short time. And, you know, it's like when I sense them, it's like they're very present with me, and I can feel the particularity of who that soul was, and I recognize it. And then after a while, it just kind of dissolves, and I don't have any further contact with them. So, you know, as I say, it's quite a mystery, and I don't really know what happens for each of us. I mean, I've studied Tibetan Buddhism and the Bardo Todol for many years, and occasionally I'll do the readings for someone who I'm connected with, who have asked me to do that for them. And when I do it, I can feel myself moving through those experiences of letting go of the structures and the identifications and the concepts, becoming in that denuding process where it becomes that pure luminosity, you know, of clear light.
Thank you for sharing.
Yesterday, I mean, this reminds me of something, or it points me to something. It's like yesterday I was in my chair contemplating, and I became a bit sad looking at the state of the world, you know, just knowing about this light, knowing about this beauty and the human potential, and just seeing how there is so much, I would say, ignorance in our world, essentially, you know, ignorance of our true nature, ignorance of unity, ignorance of love, ignorance of truth. And this actually, in some sense, I was sitting with my nieces the other day, and they're about 20 years old. And I was just feeling into how much I've learned over the last 7 years in particular. And I was like, oh man, I've accessed so much deep knowledge that has been so liberating to my soul. And I just want to give you like that, everything that I've learned, like that treasure chest, so that you can thrive and bloom and blossom into like truly being as fulfilled as you can be in this lifetime. So this balance of like really feeling the sadness, and then also feeling inspired to serve, to really do something significant in this life.
Yeah. Well, as you say, Ozzy, the suffering comes from the ignorance, and the waking up is the process of waking up to that basic goodness of reality. And when you wake up to that, then you're not going to harm another, because you know that other is you. Right. And, you know, that, as you say, Ellen, it's really the flame that awakens that aspiration to know what reality is and to know what the truth is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. After I had a moment in my life when my flame awakened, I'm quite big or into essence. And then about a year after that, I was like, no, I want to go back to the way it used to be. I want to have it like no more insights. I'm gonna live this ignorant life, sort of. And I tried it for a while, and it so did not work. But it was that was also, that comes up now, this interesting part of I suppose the ego structure, something wanting to go back to the way it was.
Well, that's the pull of the superego that's trying to keep the status quo. And, the ego is in a state of sleep, but it's cozy and comfortable for it, right? To wake up, you have to be present with the suffering, with as well as the joy and the bliss and the pleasure. There's the pain and the sorrow, and it's really that acceptance of the totality. Mm-hmm.
So is the key for that to build up your own ability to hold space for your own experience through meditation or breath or
that emotional resilience I was speaking, and capacity to hold a bigger and bigger charge. One of the tenets been very liberating for me in the Diamond approach was to not suppress, not express, but to feel it fully and transform it, and to understand what that process meant.
Yeah, I feel that process is very empowering. When I tune into that, it's so empowering and bringing that sense of expansion, not being run as much by our instinct impulsively, like it paves the way for wisdom, for being able to abide on deeper levels and access more power in some sense.
So it's almost like I'm seeing it like you're making a flower pot, like with dirt in it and seeds to grow, and it's like through meditation and holding space in this process, which you also talk about, it's like you're making a bigger and bigger and bigger flower pot to be able to experience. I don't know.
And then the walls of the flower pot dissolve. And,
oh wow!
And the pot is an endless, vast universe of boundless space.
Galaxies and solar systems. Everything. Yeah. One thing that came to mind is, one thing you write on your profile is the following: what is most important for people to understand about the Diamond approach? And you answer that it is not the quick fix, but a deep commitment to a path of exploration and understanding of what it means to be a human being. I know in today's age, with Netflix, on demand, X, Y, and Z, hamburgers, everything, and like, what do you see? What do you observe out in the world now? What is the state of affairs? How you see it? And could you speak on what you shared there, like what you expressed there?
Yeah. Well, there was a time here on Maui when, every spiritual teacher was just passing through and everybody was trying one path after another path after another. And, one of the things my Zen teacher, Robert Aitken, said is like, if you want to find water, you just keep digging. You don't give up halfway through and then go dig another hole. Otherwise, you'll have a whole lot of holes, but you'll never hit water. You just got to keep going. You got to be steadfast in that process of, being present with what you're experiencing. Yeah. And, that outward gaze, trying to find it outside, is part of that. It is a quality of the society. The digital age. Everybody on their phone. It's like I was in this beautiful restaurant on Sunday, which is right on the ocean. It's absolutely beautiful. And at least a third of the people in the restaurant, they were in their phones. They weren't experiencing the beauty that was available to them. And, you know, that was sad for me to see. Yeah.
Does it bring out a response beyond sadness? Like, or how do you?
Well, I don't do that. You know, I'm not wedded to my phone, and I'm glad that I'm not. And, you know, if there's someone I'm with who starts to do that, I say, you know, could you put down your phone and just be with me right now?
Yeah, brings in a memory where that happened to me, and actually I said something similar. And it wasn't that welcome, actually. I remember it's like, yeah, what? Don't tell me what to do, kind of.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's the way you say it, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has also occurred to me, asking people or telling people to take down their phone. Once I had a dinner party and I made everyone put it in a box.
Yeah, good.
And it was reluctantly appreciated afterwards.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, yeah. And they were like, but now there's a break. Can we have our phones? I was like, okay, yes, you can have a 5-minute break. Okay.
A 5-minute phone break.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, to feed the hungry ghost.
The hungry ghost. What's that?
The hungry ghost is in Buddhism, it's a being that has a tiny mouth and a huge stomach, so it can never be satisfied. So it's always trying to fill the hole, right?
Yeah. And on that note, what's your perspective on because you have hungry ghosts and then you have the realm of the gods or something?
Yeah.
Hungry gods, is that something? What's that again?
No, well, the realm of the gods, they have everything they want. So, you know, there's no flame to wake up. You know, they're too comfortable.
Ah, that's so good. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so Maui is very much a realm of the gods, you know.
So there's a lot of wealth, there is a lot of comfort, there is a lot of money, obviously, there is a lot of
good weather.
Yeah. So and what is that condition? In what way, like, where do they get stuck, and what is negative about that situation? What is the negative about the situation?
Well, they're not seeing the reality. They're kind of buffering themselves from the ignorance that, you know, they think that they are satisfied, but really they're missing out on the possibilities. Right?
I feel this needs to be broadcasted. I feel this really needs to be broadcasted, in the sense, this illusion of like external wealth, in the sense of when external wealth is empty, when it's a shell, basically, and how particularly young generations are very kind of enamored and distracted into that movement without having that inner cultivating what comes first, which is essence.
Yeah, we aspire to be on reality TV rather than than to find our inner truth. Yeah,
we aspire to be on reality TV instead of in reality.
Yeah, that's like,
that's so good.
Looks like nice. The people on the TV, you know, looks like reality. So.
That is really
It's it's sad. but it's the way our generation is.
And yet, what is it that brought you to the work?
You want to go?
Yeah, I can share quickly, you know, what happened for me. I mean, I was studying business actually, so it's quite relevant. I was studying business at Copenhagen Business School, and I remember in that time I was experiencing quite a lot of frustration. And the frustration was about lack of meaning and lack of purpose. I didn't feel any significance in what I was doing, where I was going, or in myself. And that eventually catalyzed a form of awakening. It was an interesting experience where I was in my room, woke up early morning because I couldn't sleep. I went outside into kind of a natural park, or a small natural park kind of in Copenhagen. And during that time, I used to sometimes smoke some weed, you know, now and again. So I remember smoking some weed. And then after I did that, I jumped over a fence and I entered this big, you can say an oasis, where I was surrounded by trees all around me. And I remember I was really struck by a sense of anxiety and also curiosity simultaneously, which created a very interesting combination, very interesting experience. And the pressure or the intensity of that experience led me to eventually sit down. And I remember that my mind suddenly became still. And in that stillness arose an insight that was completely extraordinary. And it went like this: I am what I am, but what am I? And that was the genesis of my search. That was the beginning of my path. And pre that, I had never read the spirituality or anything. That was the genesis. I hadn't even read the Bible. I know that is I am that I am is a very significant statement in the Bible, but that came out of the blue into my consciousness. So that was really the beginning for me.
Yeah. You know Pablo Picasso?
Yeah, I know Pablo Picasso, yeah.
Yeah, he says life is about finding your purpose. And when you find your purpose is to give it away.
Very interesting. What does that tell you? What does that mean for you?
Well, it's to find what your gift is. You know, what are you here to give to, you know, whoever you contact? Yeah, my question, Ellen, was what was it that brought you into the work?
Yeah, thank you. Yes, for me, it was the search for love. I lost my father when I was around 18 months old, so very small. And I fell in love the first time when I was 14, and it was like deep and very, very strong. And then it broke, and it gave me so much pain. Then I was searching for this same love again, and up into like my middle 20s, when I found myself in what I thought was like the perfect relationship. I really believed we were going to last forever. I'd never really loved someone that way. And then he broke up with me. And I was in utter shock. And so many reactions came to that. There was a lot of shame for being in so much sadness. And, but also this like weird desperation, or like I had truly believed that, you know, this time I had done everything perfectly. So how could this happen when I had done everything perfectly? And then I started to go into the hunch of like, there is something I'm not doing right. Like, I believe something in my belief system is wrong somewhere. And when I started to get onto the path of the diamond approach, it was from one of the teachings that you are what you long for. It's not something to get from the outside. It's not about me finding a man to love me so that I will feel good in myself. It's about that I already have this love capacity inside of myself. And yes, the mere possibility of that was enough for me to not let go. But it's still something that I'm like working with. It's not like I still long for being loved by others.
Well, that's a very deep issue, you know, that relates to your connection to your mother. And, you know, Mr. Freud said, if it's not one thing, it's your mother.
Yeah,
so,
I know.
It goes right back to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for asking. Shall we continue with your song, perhaps? Yeah.
Go for it. Computer.
Oh, you?
Yeah, I'm sharing it.
Okay.
Thank you.
So this is the album Migration by Peter Cater, and Lighting the Flame, the song is called.
Mm. So Peter is the pianist, and Carlos Nakai is the flautist in the.
What happens in you, Prakash, when you hear this song?
Oh, just such the beauty of the clarity and precision of the notes is, and it's very spacious to me. Yeah.
How about you, Ellen?
Delight and curiosity. What's happening next? In a very beautiful environment. How about you, Vasim?
Wow. Yeah, I definitely feel the beauty. And I also feel that the yellow essence is very active generally now. And also can very much resonate with the spaciousness of that. And also like the spontaneity of this is the first time I hear this song and this album. So the spontaneity of it all and the divine harmonies, you could say, of like, I feel that it has an effect on my soul, at least, of like, just, it's as if catapulting my consciousness into a whole new universe somehow. Different universe.
Also the bird from Hawaii, I hear. I don't know if there also was like birds in the music. That was this. Yeah. It's like they are also present in this exploration.
Would you be open to doing a short monologue, Prakash?
Sure.
Yeah.
What do you want me to speak to?
Just speak to what's happening for you.
Well, a continuum of awareness. So the music brings me to a place of spaciousness and stillness. So it's like I feel that very much in my belly center, that openness and the joy that you spoke of. I feel that awakening in my heart. It's like a warm glow in my heart. And then that precision and clarity very much wakes up my head center. And it's really open and clear and blue. Then I hear a plane go by, and all the way through the pandemic, it was like the sky was silent. It's like there were no planes in it. So when I hear a plane now, it's like, oh, people are moving, they're migrating, as that album's title speaks to. My mind feels very empty of content. I hear sound, but there's no thoughts. A kind of liquid smoothness in the flow of my soul. It has a very fine, delicate yellow tone to it, but it's almost virtual. It's not quite there. The word expectancy comes, it was like wondering what this dialogue would be like, what questions you would ask me, where the flow would take us in our exploration. So that curiosity. Yeah. Noticing that the sun has gone out of your room, but there's still a kind of radiance from the light there. And as though you're arising out of your cosmos behind you, Ellen. Mm-hmm. Like a portal. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Mm.
Hey. What's happening for you, Elin?
Stillness and something soft and yummy. And gratitude, I must say. I feel very honored somehow that this hour has that we have been here together this hour. It's almost a little bit unreal, but it's very real.
Yeah. What feels unreal to you?
I think that's my way of saying it's a bit too good to be true. That for me is something unreal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a I mean, I caught that was what Ellen was speaking, but my experience in, I don't know if this is a part of the culture, but being literal, very literal with the wording. What's your sense of that, Prakash?
Well, it's too good to be true. It's like you can't imagine how good it is. It's like, because it's so good, and we almost tend to be more drawn to the lack than to the fullness.
I found it.
I recognize that in myself. I'm very drawn to my lacks and the lack around me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But how about you, Vasi?
Yeah, this seems I pick up on the stillness as well. And there is a sense of seeing into nothing somehow. There is I would say there is a radiance of some sort. I can resonate with the glow in the heart space that Prakash spoke to. A glowing quality, a glowing radiance in the heart center.
Mm.
And the mind or the head center is experienced as spacious. And I also notice the sense of calm that's in the field, and you could say the serenity of the body and the serenity of the moment. And I feel like the lower extremities, including the belly, feels vibrant and simultaneously like very, serene or tranquil, very calm and simultaneously warm. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then when looking at YouTube, I just notice me like opening my eyes and then looking at you, I just notice my heart kind of expanding like a cave of just like love. Such a beautiful now.
I also recognize the love right now. It's very
Yeah. We're coming towards the end of our conversation. So,
any other questions you'd like to ask me before we finish off?
yeah. What do you feel is most important to you? What is important for you in life?
And where do you teach? In which groups in the school?
So I teach a group in Hawaii, and I've been teaching that group for 15 years, and 16 years now. And then I've been teaching in the UK with Sandra Maitri, and I teach Big UK and UK 3, and I teach Diamond Heart Retreat Group 6 and the International Retreat Group, and I have an integration group in the dive program. And I work with students in Australia and New Zealand. Yeah. And your question, what's important to me?
That's quite many.
Yeah, I'm very busy.
Huh? Yeah. That answered the question, huh?
Yes. Thank you. Very thorough.
But please, if you have anything to add.
Connection, a connection that's real, a connection that's soul to soul. Yeah.
Aho.
Yeah. And I've really appreciated connecting with each of you today. Thank you for inviting me to share my experience with you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for wanting to be a part of our podcast.
Great. Good.
Yeah. Man, so great.
Thank you.
So great. Loving it. Yeah. And I just want to say on connection, yeah, I really hear around me as well, in my in my own circles, like the importance of connection, how people see connection, like so much, and the significance of connection. It's really, yeah, I don't think it can be comprehended how significant and meaningful that is for us human beings.
And I think that's one of the most important components of the pearl. It enables true contact to happen. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's a great end note, as this is called the Pearl Dialogues, huh?
Okay, thank you both.
Yes, okay, all the best, Prakash, until next time.
Okay, bye-bye.
Ciao.
Thank you.
Bye, Ellen.